Good morning. I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians, the Yugambeh language group, the people of the land in which I'm speaking from today on the southern Gold Coast. I'd also like to acknowledge the traditional custodians on the land in which each of you are living and learning from today, and pay my respect to elders past, present and emerging, as it's their knowledge, their experience that hold the key to future generations. And as an Australian Olympian, I pay respect to the 52 Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Australian Olympians and thank them for their contribution. Welcome to our 2021 Belgravia Foundation Inspiration Breakfast. My name is Brooke Hanson. I'm an Olympic gold and silver medalist in swimming, TV presenter, MC, motivational speaker, and active mum who truly believes that sport and leisure should be enjoyed by all. A big thank you today to our sponsors and supporters and donors. Thank you so much. Salt, Sweps, Sports Community, Telstra Business Centre, Belgravia Pro, Hepburn Barkhouse and Spa, the Gin Dispensary, Zogs and Belgravia Leisure. Through this online platform, I'd also like to thank our Belgravia Foundation patron, Jeff Lord, and one of our leading supporters, Nanette Lord. Thank you so much for all you do for Belgravia Foundation. Good morning to my fellow board members from Belgravia Foundation, Chairman Alex, Jeff, Brett, Ronnie, Nick, and Anthony. It is an inspirational breakfast, so let's be inspired by the board members' favourite breakfast. Oh, I love it. Well done. From the traditional Aussie Vegemite on toast to the bacon toasty, fruit yogurt and muesli, healthy muesli. The most creative, that has to go to Nick Cox, who looks like he's made what I think it's a self-portrait breakfast. Well done, Nick. I'm absolutely loving it. Now, mine is the crepe, first from the batch, which made me feel so proud and gave me a little bit of time to reflect on how great it was to represent my country. And I seriously couldn't believe that it came out looking like Australia. Now, there's always one, the fun approach, the laughs. I wouldn't say a VB and Cocoa Pops is the breakfast of champions, but hey, no judgment. You're an absolute champion, Macca, and great to have you part of our inspiring morning. I want to give a very special welcome to our special guest this morning, Professor Patrick McGorry, AO, Executive Director of Origin, a leading youth mental health organisation, Professor of the Youth Health, not just the youth mental health at University of Melbourne. He was also the 2010 Australian of the Year. He'll be with us shortly for a live Q&A session on mental health, and we'll be joined by international experts who have guided and advised development of our exciting mental health resource, which will appear, they'll all appear in a short video shortly as well. Professor Alison Young, Professor of Psychiatry at Origin and the Centre of Youth Mental Health at the University of Melbourne. Dr. Joe Firth, UKRI Future Leaders Fellow, the University of Manchester. Professor Alex Parker, Executive Director, Institute for Health and Sport, and Professor of Physical Activity, Mental Health in the Institute at Victoria University. A warm welcome to all of our online guests. We thank you for your support, your collaboration, your partnership. And if this is your first Belgravia Foundation Inspiration Breakfast, we hope that you're inspired and we look forward to seeing you live in person at our next event. This morning, there is a Q&A box and I encourage any questions and comments to be asked through that platform. If time permits, we'll address them. If we run out of time, we'll ensure to follow up post-breakfast with your questions. Now, what are we fundraising for this morning? Well, there are two national projects which your support today will help tremendously. Firstly, mental health, with funds to be used to provide mental health first aid training to workers and volunteers in the leisure and community sport sectors. And secondly, kids in care, with funds to be used to provide swimming lessons and sport experiences for children in foster care or emergency accommodation due to family dysfunction. That's what you're raising money for today. Donations, well, it's quite easy. How do you do it? There's a QR code for donations being displayed right there. Simply using your mobile phone, hold this up to the screen, hold your phone up to the screen, and it will take you directly to the Belgravia Foundation website's donation page. And here you'll be able to select how your donation will be used. And I absolutely love that. We've also got the QR code in the Q&A box for those people who are actually joining us via their mobile phones today. So check the QA box, or if not, just scan this little QR code now. The QR code will also appear in the bottom right-hand corner of every slide from this point onwards. So you've definitely got an opportunity whilst listening to our incredible speakers to donate. We also have an exciting scratchy competition this morning to show appreciation for you all joining us. Later on in the breakfast, we've got lots of giveaways up for grabs. Wonderful sponsors from Belgravia Foundation who have donated prizes, including 6-month facility membership to one of Belgravia's finest gyms, sport club membership, a new mobile phone handset, sport bundles, and plenty more. I'll give you some more information on how to play that later after we hear from our special guests. And I've got to give away something to start with, of course. The early bird registration. The competition was those who registered to attend today's breakfast prior to the 31st of January. The winner is Jodie Walker from Life Saving Victoria. Well done, Jodie. A big congratulations to you. You've won a pure glamping voucher. Thanks to the team at Belgravia Pro. Jodie, I'm sure you'll enjoy camping under the stars. Well, it's time now to go from the Gold Coast down to sunny Melbourne and cross live in Melbourne to our chairman from the Belgravia Foundation, Alex Lord. Good morning, Alex.
G'day everyone, just a quick microphone check. Hopefully you can hear me okay. Max and Elliot, have you cleaned your teeth? Anyway, good morning everyone. My name is Alex Lord. I'm a father of 2.5, husband of 1, and I'm extremely proud and humbled to be the chair of the Belgravia Foundation. I'm here this morning to give you a little bit more of a brief on who the Belgravia Foundation are and what we do before I pass over to a few other people. Now, the Belgravia Foundation was registered in 2017 with the Australian Charities and Not-for-Profit Commission with a sole focus to create greater access to sports, leisure, aquatics, recreation for everybody, regardless of your physical, financial, cognitive or cultural disadvantages or differences. Why are we doing this? Because we want to make sure that nobody misses out, because we are passionate about sport, whether it's kicking a football, going for a swim, hitting a golf ball, slicing a golf ball, whatever it is that you enjoy doing, we love it. Sport is such a wonderful common denominator in Australia and New Zealand, and it's something that we are really passionate about. So we want to make sure that everybody has the same opportunity as us. Now, the way we do this through 2 key strategies. We have nationwide strategies, which we use across Australia and New Zealand, and we also have local community strategies. In regards to our nationwide strategies, we have 3 key projects. Our first project we call Take Charge, and that's about using physical activity to combat the symptoms of mental health. And we'll learn a little bit more about that today when we hear the next step of the Take Charge program with the launch of our mental health e-learning program. Our second project is called Everybody's Welcome. Now, Everybody's Welcome is about upskilling workers and volunteers in the sporting sector, improving their confidence and capability to deliver customer service and deliver sports to someone with a disability or a disadvantaged background. And our third project, which we launched last year, is called All In, which is about improving the capabilities and the capacity of swimming venues, just like this one, to increase participating in swimming. Why swimming? It is one of our greatest pastimes. Now, in regards to our local strategies, it is a little bit different. The Belgravia Foundation operate across 70 local communities in Australia and New Zealand. And the way we work with local communities is we go into a local community and we identify the needs of that community. We try and raise some funds and we act. By act, we raise the funds and execute whatever it is that local community needs in the absence of sport. Now, the unique thing about our local community strategy is we have a pledge and a commitment that 100% of the funds raised in a local community will always stay in that local community. No administration costs or anything. And it's something that we are extremely proud about. Now, this is our 5th Inspiration Breakfast now, our first online edition. So we're really grateful that everyone is here. We've had 3 in Melbourne, 1 in New South Wales, our 5th one being today. We're not sure where the next one's going to be. It could be Tasmania, it could be Cairns, it may even be in New Zealand. Now, what do we want from you today? We just want you to sit back, enjoy your nice breakfast, whether it's a cup of tea, a coffee, or a Bloody Mary, whatever you have there, and have a little bit of a growth mindset. We want you to have a listen and get involved. And more importantly, we want you to partake in the mental health e-learning program, which we will be launching later today. You will be the first people that can enroll and complete this free training, which we are providing to all workers and volunteers in the sporting sector. Our goal is to have 50,000 people complete this training over the next 12 months, and we are hoping that you can help us and become advocates. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the breakfast. Back to you, Brooke.
Thanks so much, Alex. Always so much motivation. Very inspiring this morning. Great to hear about the purpose of the foundation. Definitely exciting times ahead. We will now hear from the CEO of Belgravia Foundation, Jeff Walkley. Jeff has devoted his personal and professional life to helping people connect and benefit from physical activity. In recognition for his substantial long-term leadership and contribution at the national and regional level, he was awarded fellowships by 2 separate professional bodies, Australian Council for Health, Physical Education and Recreation, Australian Council for Educational Leadership. The incredible work led Jeff to being awarded a life membership for Australian Council for Health, Physical Education and Life Contribution Award by Disability Sport and Recreation Victoria. We are so fortunate to have him as our CEO of Belgravia Foundation. I'm heading back to Melbourne. Good morning, Jeff.
And good morning, Brooke. And good morning, Brooke. It's lovely to be with you on this beautiful Melbourne day at Aqua Arena, which is a wonderful facility with many people here today enjoying the aquatic environment. I don't understand why people get up early and go swimming, but Brooke, you clearly do. Thanks for having me here today, and I want to thank everyone for joining with us. The purpose of my introduction today is to talk to you about the year that was. We started the year with a great event, the Belgravia Foundation Breakfast 2020, held near the scenic Yarra River and attended by a record crowd of 263. We found that a wonderful event, and as a consequence, we were able to raise just over $46,000. And all of that money was put to support people to be involved in swimming, those in need who are in danger of missing out. We also focused on 3 national projects. These national projects related to mental health, where we have a suite of programs that we offer in support of the community and the leisure and sports sectors. Within that suite of programs, we offer an exercise for people living with mental illness program. We have offered mental health first aid, mental health awareness, and today we will be talking to you about the mental health e-learning program. All great initiatives related to mental health to support people in Australia and New Zealand. We did more. We're involved in a project called All In to support an improvement in the confidence and capacity of swim school teachers to welcome, support and include people living with a disability and people of cultural and linguistic diversity. We want no one to miss out. And through this program, we're upskilling the industry to enable them to ensure that no one misses out from the wonder that can be found through learning to swim and use the aquatic environments in Australia and New Zealand. Through that program, we've created a mentor program to provide on-site support, which will enable people to have assistance and enable them to continue with their pursuit of inclusion so no one misses out. We also have been working on a project called Everybody's Welcome, because our mission is to ensure no one misses out on the benefits from health and happiness through leisure and sport. Everybody's Welcome is a broad program to support online training of the enormous number of people who work in the leisure and sports sections across Australia, with the core mission to improve their confidence and capacity to welcome, support and include everyone. No one misses out. I also need to acknowledge the outstanding work done across Australia and New Zealand by our many groups in different regions. I want to highlight just a few of these for you. It's like trying to identify which is your favourite child. It's never one or other, it's always both. And I love everything that all of our regions have done. But I do want to highlight some of them for you. I want to point out for you the great work done at Yarrambat Golf Course, where this team has done enormous work over several years to ensure that people have an opportunity in an urban fringe environment to be involved in leisure and sport. One of the key initiatives last year during the terrible pandemic that we're still enduring was that they developed an online golf instruction program. So successful with this program that 23,000 views were completed as a consequence of the great work done by them. And we thank Nillumbik Shire Council for the donation to enable that to help. We're also pleased with the Telstra Business Grant that allowed us to buy some equipment to ensure that youth could be involved. We also did work in the Barossa Valley of South Australia, the beautiful Barossa Valley. I have nothing but applause for the team at the Rex at the Barossa Valley Aquatic and Fitness Centre. Over years, they've been involved in ensuring people are connected to the centre and the programs and the services. They recognise that people with higher support needs needed more help, and as a consequence, they engaged in a community-wide fundraising effort to ensure that people with those needs were able to get in and out of the pool safely and when they wanted to. Great effort by that group. I also want to acknowledge the wonderful work being done in New Zealand, and I just want to point out an example from Franklin, where that team has been persisting for years to support people with a disability to be involved in the programs and services on offer there. They ran a wonderful expo last year, which brought in over 100 families and 300 participants, supported by 10 local organisations to enliven the opportunities for people with high support needs to be involved in sport and leisure. Truly a wonderful outcome. So thanks for that. It's been a wonderful year in 2020. Here are some images which show what happened in the so many different places that we offer, programs and services and support. It's been a great year, but we look forward to a better year in 2021. I'll go back to you now, Brooke. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Jeff, for sharing that inspiring news with us after such a tough 12 months. It's been so wonderful to see Belgravia Foundation still connecting with so many communities around Australia and New Zealand. Now to the breakfast showcase competition. You're invited to submit selfies or pics of your best breakfast. The main rule was that the breakfast had to be homemade, so you couldn't cheat. We didn't want you going to a cafe or a restaurant. The competition was judged by some of the members of the Belgravia Foundation board, and there's a few of those pics up on screen of a few of our semi-finalists and finalists. But of course, there can only be one winner. And that winner today, congratulations to Michelle Carter. Michelle made the French brioche toast, fresh fruit, maple syrup, and double cream with a dusting of icing sugar and some mint. Oh gosh, that looks delicious, Michelle. The judges, you can read there that they were drawn to this breakfast, that it showed complexity of flavors, colors, food type combined with eye for visual appeal, plus a dusting to top things off. Oh, I love the comments as well. Very, very thorough. Definitely a breakfast of champions, Michelle. Well done. Enjoy some me time at Hepburn Bathhouse and Spa. It gives me now great pleasure to welcome our next guest. Wonderful to have him on board with Belgravia Foundation. And he's going to have a question and answer Q&A time this morning with our Belgravia Foundation CEO, Jeff Walkley. We welcome Professor Patrick McGorry, AO, an Irish-born Australian psychiatrist known worldwide for his work in early intervention and youth mental health, for mental health innovation, advocacy and reform. He is Executive Director of Origin and Professor of Youth Mental Health at University of Melbourne. He led the development of Headspace, the National Youth Primary Mental Health Program, which is now in over 100 communities nationally. He has played a key advocacy advisory role to the government and health systems. In 2010, he was named Australian of the Year. And in 2016, he became the first psychiatrist to be elected as a fellow of the Australian Academy of Science. Wow, what a career. Welcome, Professor, and welcome back, Jeff.
Thanks very much, Brooke. Now, we've had to go to Plan C due to some technical problems, and we've gone the old-fashioned way of the telephone through the microphone, but we'll make it work because that's what we do. Pat, welcome and thank you for your wonderful support to the Belgravia Foundation. We really appreciate everything you've done. Are you having a good morning?
Well, apart from the technical glitch, Jeff, a very good morning, thank you. And thank you so much for inviting me to be part of this event.
Pat, it's a privilege of us to have you with us. Now, I've got some questions for you, Pat. We're interested in making sure the audience understands the enormity of the challenge related to supporting the mental health of people who live in Australia and New Zealand. Can you tell us how common is mental distress and illness across Australia and New Zealand?
Well, I'm very glad you asked that question today, because yesterday the federal government in Australia announced a major survey of mental illness and mental ill health across the country. It's the first for 14 years, so we have a much better idea of that again in the next year or two. Something that should be done every year, actually, to monitor the levels. But of course, with the bushfires and the pandemic, we've probably seen a significant increase in the prevalence. And I'm glad also you put New Zealand on the slide, because the best research in the world on this topic has come from New Zealand through a study in Dunedin, which followed children from late primary school through so far to age 45, you know, a big cohort of normal kids, basically, and they were followed up across several decades. And by the age of 45, 86% of them had developed a period of poor mental health or mental illness. So mental illness is just like physical illness and physical ill health. We all suffer from periods or sometimes more chronic conditions, but it's an issue that affects everyone and every family, so it's extremely common. In any given year, at least a fifth to a quarter of the population will need mental health care. So your programs, screening and equipping the general public with the skills to detect and recognise mental ill health is very, very important. The problem is, though, that the governments have not actually put the services in place yet to meet that need.
Now, Pat, you've focused on youth during your career. Do youth find it hard to access help for mental illness?
Well, they have. I mean, I think Brooke mentioned Headspace, which we basically developed, because we could see, in our part of Melbourne, there's over 1 million people living there, and we were providing the specialist mental health services for the young people, the teenagers and young adults in that region. We were treating about 1,000 young people a year, but the estimates were that there were 50,000 young people that needed professional help in that catchment area of Melbourne. So that, if you extrapolate that across Australia, it gives you some idea of the need that's not being met. So we had to develop a much more accessible and high volume program, which was very stigma-free, holistic. Young people would be confident in and trust. So that was Headspace. So that's improved the situation. So more young people, I think it's probably several 100,000 over the last decade or so, have been able to get help through Headspace, and it's working extremely well. It needs more investment from government, of course. It's still a work in progress, but that's another brick in the wall, I'd say, or maybe a base camp. But if young people have got more complex or persistent problems, they've really got very few options, and we call that the missing middle. So a young person that has a significant mental illness or mental health problem is really going to struggle, even in our rich country like Australia. So, that's on the agenda for reform with the federal and state governments, and the public really need to sort of understand that if they've got kids in this age group, they will struggle unless they sort of put more pressure on the government to actually do something about this issue.
So a good start, but much more to be done.
Good start. We're ahead of the world in terms of what we have done, but that's not saying much, because the rest of the world is pretty pathetic in this space as well.
Yeah. So Pat, what impact is COVID going to have on the prospects for mental health in Australia and New Zealand?
Well, fortunately we've got a fair bit of data on that from surveys that have been done through 2020, and we saw a substantial rise in mental distress. Another thing we saw was a loss of mental health, looking at it from the other side. I mean, people's well-being and mental health suffered, and obviously things like exercise and physical health are very important contributors to mental health. So we lost mental health, and we developed a higher level of mental ill health and mental illness, and that's very clear. In young people, 75% of young people surveyed by Headspace and Origin found that their mental health had worsened during the pandemic. So we saw this kind of surge. We called it the shadow pandemic, actually, and it's probably worse in Northern Hemisphere countries where the pandemic itself has been much more severe. So it's really the second or the shadow pandemic that we're dealing with, and that's on the back of a mental health system that was already unable to cope with demand, as I mentioned earlier. So we have a very big public policy challenge here, which I know the federal government and the Victorian government are really looking at very seriously at the moment.
Pat, you're renowned for the work that you've done to create community-based supports to improve access to support for youth living with mental health conditions. How important are community-based supports for that cohort?
Well, very important, Jeff, and I should add that it's been a massive team effort, these reforms that have occurred in Australia, and they've occurred with the vital input of young people themselves, who have helped us to design the right types of access points and cultures of care. But local communities have got behind the Headspace model. That's why it's spread so rapidly across Australia, because local communities have advocated and fought for these services to be extended to their own communities, and they're tremendously supportive of their Headspace centres, because people said when we were starting this off, if you put a Headspace in a country town or a regional centre, no one will go, because they'll feel shame and stigma. They won't want to be seen walking into a Headspace centre. But it's the opposite. The communities really support their services. They fight for them. They support them, and it's not stigmatised at all. So it's a stigma-busting thing, and things like mental health first aid and empowering every single person really helps that a lot. So congratulations to Belgravia for your initiatives in this space. Grassroots community, all politics are local, they say. So if you want better services, you better organise your local community to put pressure on your local MP, who's usually quite supportive, actually, to actually get these services into every part of Australia.
Pat, the mental health e-learning program has been designed to support the workers and volunteers across Australia and New Zealand in the sport and leisure sectors to help people in their communities. Do you see this as a welcome addition?
Oh, very much so, and I think the link between physical and mental health that I think Brooke and you and also the chair were stressing is very important. We know that also on the other side of the coin, if you develop a mental illness, you're at very high risk of having poor physical health as well, and dying, maybe 15, 20 years prematurely if you have a severe mental illness from physical health causes like heart disease and cancer. So the link between physical and mental health, and also physical and mental health, physical and mental well-being, they're very synergistic. The World Health Organization often says there's no health without mental health, but there's also no health without physical health. So that the two things are sort of two opposite sides of the same coin, really.
Look, Pat, thanks for helping us launch the mHelp program today and being part of the Inspiration Breakfast. Again, we thank you for your support from yourself as well as your team at Origin and your colleagues for the assistance we've had in the development of the mental health support programs we've rolled out. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Could I just mention my great colleague, Professor Alison Jung, and also Professor Alex Parker. They've been pioneers of this aspect of our work, and it's great to be able to share today with both of them too. And thanks to you and to Belgravia for this event.
Thanks, Pat, and a great segue because we'll be hearing from both Alison and Alex a little later. Thanks, Pat. Enjoy the day.
No worries.
Let's move on now to an explanation of the mHelp program. We're proud to be able to launch this program today and make it available to all the viewers participating in the breakfast, and ask that you actively promote this program and complete it yourself. We're aiming for 50,000 completions within 12 months. This is Australia's first mental health program designed specifically for the sport and leisure sectors. An enormous number of people work in that area. They've gone through hell and back during 2020, and we need to support those people who in turn can support the millions of visitors into the facilities and venues that are operated for the community by the sport and leisure sector. So let's first of all thank the collaborators of the mHelp program. It's an incredible achievement that 21 different groups are working together on this program. I thank each and every one of them. Our 4 organisations from New Zealand and our 17 from Australia have shown cooperation and collaboration, which was unusual in an area where we are sometimes acting as passive competitors in an industry where we're each trying to provide an opportunity to connect with the community. It's been extraordinary. Now, we do know that mental health is an incredibly pervasive situation in Australia and New Zealand, but there are ways to help people manage with this. And one of them is related to exercise. So I'd really like now to hear from Professor Alison Jung, who's a professor with Origin and at the University of Melbourne. Alison, can I hear from you, please?
My name is Alison Jung, and I'm a professor of psychiatry at the University of Melbourne. Research has shown that exercise can improve the mental health and well-being of people, and your role in ensuring that people with mental health problems can get access to exercise programs is really important. Thanks for taking part in the mHelp program. I hope you enjoy it.
Alison, and I want to acknowledge Alison's years of support to the Belgravia Foundation and to the Take Charge suite of programs. Her contribution has been unending and enormous. So thank you, Alison. It's been great. I want to just talk to you about some of the key features of mHelp. Now, recently, Vic Health put out an advisory in relation to guides sports and leisure organisations how to select providers in the mental health area, because there has been a growth in groups offering this service. I'm pleased to say that the mHelp program meets every condition within the Vic Health Advisory, an achievement which is applaudable. The key things about mHelp are this: it's evidence-based practice put into a structure to allow the community to benefit. We've been guided by our international experts. Thank you again to Alison Yung, to Joe Firth and to Alex Parker, each of who have given enormously of their time and expertise with no expectation of compensation. That's the type of people they are working for the community. We've designed this program for the New Zealand and Australian context. Nothing existed for the Australian and New Zealand context in the sport and leisure sectors, targeting the workers and volunteers who support millions of people to be involved in healthy physical activity. We also have provided information about mental health, facts and some of the fiction, so that people can become better educated. We want people to understand what mental health creates in the lives of individuals, so they are better placed to act and support to ensure everyone has an opportunity to pursue health and happiness. We also have the program illustrated by 10 in real life stories. These people have contributed their personal information about their encounters with mental health conditions, either as a person living with a mental health condition or a person who has offered support to another they've identified as living with a mental health condition or experiencing psychological distress. Now, the mental health e-learning program is entirely free. We are thankful to Fitness Australia, who are lodging this on their learning management system, and we're thankful to all of our other collaborators who are actively promoting this program to their organisations in our pursuit of 50,000 learners completing the program in the next 12 months. As well as being free, the program is self-paced. It allows users with different life circumstances to work through the program at their own choosing and pace, and it'll allow them to get the best out of the program. Importantly, 2 continuing education credits will come with completion and submission of the certificate, which will be an additional inducement to allow people to complete the program. So we're really pleased that we now have available for Australia and New Zealand leisure and sports sectors, those wonderful workers and volunteers, to be better able to support their own and others' mental health. Now, I want to hear from 2 of our other experts. And first, I'd like to introduce to you Dr. Joe Firth. Joe, nice to hear from you from Manchester, which I think has been smashed by the east from the beast.
Hi, I'm Dr. Joe Firth from the University of Manchester, and over the years in our research, we've seen firsthand how the power of exercise can help to improve the physical and mental health of people with all sorts of different conditions from all sorts of different backgrounds. So that's why I support the mHelp program, a program which is helping turn what we've seen in the research into the real world. So please do help to get involved and promote the program to help more people start taking the mental health benefits of exercise into their local communities.
Hi everyone, I'm Alex Parker, the Executive Director of the Institute for Health and Sport at Victoria University and Professor of Physical Activity and Mental Health. Physical activity has such a crucial role to play in preventing the onset of mental health conditions and in their treatment. And for anyone in the sports and leisure sectors, you'll get a lot out of the new Take Charge Mental Health e-learning program by increasing your knowledge and capacity to work with people who have mental health concerns. Let's keep working together to improve our community's mental health and wellbeing through moving more.
Thanks, Joe. Greatly appreciate your help for the mHelp program and the other mental health initiatives we've developed and rolling out. Brooke, I'll move back to you now.
Thanks so much, Jeff, and to Professor McGorry, and also the video messages from our experts, Joe and Alex. I'm thrilled, absolutely thrilled to see the launch of mHelp this morning. It's definitely a long time coming, but to see it launched, it's just so exciting. You can scan to access mHelp right there. So holding up your phone, scan it, and we want you to share it with as many friends and family as possible. I know as a volunteer here on the Gold Coast that I'll definitely make sure that all the volunteers at as many local surf clubs, football clubs really get involved in this amazing program. Well, it's scratchy time. It's time for the scratchy competition, and it's really easy to play. It's all back to your mobile phone. A QR code is being displayed on the screen. If you're playing on your desktop, a link to the website is available during in your Q&A box. So that's just gone up on your Q&A box. You've just got to scan it in with your phone, follow the link, enter your details. It's really easy. Enter the details, and winners will be contacted after the breakfast. This is probably right now, before we start scratching away, it's a great chance for you to stretch your legs, have a dance, have a bit of a, stretch up, stretch to the side, and just make sure that you scratch away. Good luck to everyone. It is time to enter your email, get scratching. Well, hopefully that was a lot of fun. I've had my stretch and my dance. I wasn't a winner, but I'm sure there's some winners out there. I'm going to throw down back to Melbourne again and get Jeff just to share with us the year ahead.
Thank you, Brooke, and I hope people were successful with the scratchy competition. I'm aware of the prize pool, and I'm assuming there are some people dancing around the breakfast table at the moment. The year ahead is exciting. There are three key things which I want to announce this morning to alert you to what the Belgravia Foundation will do in Australia and New Zealand. First, our big focus will be on mental health. We have a national project related to mental health, and we wish to continue that because we do know that this is a pervasive challenge for both of our nations. We will do several things. We will continue with the Take Charge Exercise and Mental Health program, where we provide free access to a facility operated by a health and fitness operator for people living with a mental health condition to enjoy the benefits of exercise and mental health. We additionally will provide support through mental health first aid training. It's my estimate that over time, like CPR and first aid, mental health first aid will become a requirement for organisations that interact with the community. We're additionally providing additional work around mental health awareness, which we led last year, and we'll be supplementing that by the mental health e-learning program. So this year we'll be focusing on mental health given the enormity of the challenge in our countries and the contribution that we know exercise can make to a person's health and happiness and improvements in mental health. A great initiative. So if you're in a position to donate to support our mental health mental health first aid training initiative, we wish to train people, 500 people we wish to train, and we need to pay for trainers to be taught so that they can do that. And in turn, those 500 people we estimate will impact on 100,000 people, different people, not visitors, but different people. So we want support for that. But there's more. In addition, we will be focusing again on swimming and the aquatic environment. Both of our great countries adore the water, have been users of the waters for years, and they will continue to do that. But we want to ensure that kids in care, through foster care or emergency accommodation, are not missing out on that opportunity. And we're going to combine that with the All-In program, where we support people who are swim school instructors to develop their confidence and capacity to welcome, support and include people with a disability and people of cultural and linguistic diversity. We'll roll out the mentor program, and we're aiming to have this scaled up to 50 sites across Australia and New Zealand. So we'll focus, as well as mental health, on swimming, connecting people in need to the wonderful opportunity that use of water can create. And finally, a special announcement. I am very, very pleased to announce that the Belgravia Foundation is actively pursuing the creation of a foundation, a charity in New Zealand, to enable the foundation's mission to connect everyone in the community to leisure and sport opportunities, so no one misses out and everyone has the opportunity to gain improvements in their health and happiness through physical activity. So we will work with our collaborators and our teams in New Zealand to create that, and at next year's breakfast, I'll be pleased to be able to report to you the achievements of our teams and collaborators in New Zealand. A wonderful opportunity. So thanks very much. I appreciate your time with me this morning, and I'll go back to the Gold Coast and you, Brooke.
Fantastic, Jeff. It's wonderful to hear about the amazing programs and the expansion of Belgravia Foundation in New Zealand. I'm certain our New Zealand friends joining us this morning will be thrilled to hear that very exciting news. Now, a reminder that the QR code for donations today is being displayed, and we are seeking donations for mental health. Funds being used for mental health first aid training for workers and volunteers in leisure and community sports sectors. Also, kids in care, with funds being used to provide swimming lessons and sport experiences for children living in foster care or emergency accommodation. So please hold up your phone, click on that QR code. We're getting used to going into the QR codes, or click on the Q&A in our meeting today, and all donations would be greatly we're so grateful, and we really thank you for all the support that you are giving to our incredible programs that we've implemented. I want to thank all the attendees and sponsors, supporters and donors for joining us this morning. A big thank you to everyone. Congratulations to all our winners of the early bird registration, the best brekkie competition and the scratchy competition as well. Remember, the opportunity does exist to donate via the Belgravia Foundation website, and specifically choose and support the foundation through our national projects. You could use that QR code on screen or in the Q&A box, or you can visit Belgravia Foundation website, which is belgraviafoundation.org.au. And we'd really love as much support as we can. So contact any board member, should you or your organisation that you work for, if you're interested in supporting the foundation, and there's the email address for the foundation on the bottom of your screen now, info@belgraviafoundation.org.au. I think more hands make lighter work, and we really appreciate the support we've already had, and we continue to look forward to more support over the next 12 months. Look out for a save the date for details about our next inspirational breakfast. Donation and mHelp QR codes will definitely remain on the screen for the next 10 minutes if you've missed out, or if you want to hop off your phone and take a shot of that QR code. A huge thanks to the amazing team who put all of this together. Cherie, Emma, Georgia, Brooke, Juliet, Bella, Liz, for the incredible time that you've all put into this. It does not go unnoticed, and we really thank you from the bottom of all of our hearts to get this happening this morning. It's really, it really is inspiring. So well done to all of you for putting it together. I want to leave you with one question. How can you help? We are seeking assistance to promote throughout the entire leisure and sports sectors in Australia and New Zealand. How can you help? Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for helping us make a difference. I encourage all of you to do the mental e-learning program, and encourage those around you to do it as well. It's time for me to go and do the school run. So have a great day. I'm Brooke Hanson. Until next time, stay safe, keep smiling, and take care of each other. Bye for now.